Good morning, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, it is freezing down here right now. I mean, obviously not compared to where some of you may live, but it's like 40 something degrees, 50 something. I don't know. It's cold. Anyways, welcome back. I hope that you're doing well. Maybe a little warmer than myself, although I could put long pants on, but I'm not. Today we're listening to Bat for Lashes. We're going to listen to this track, Glass. This is going to be off of her second studio album, Two Suns, released in 2009. We're listening to this track because it was suggested and sponsored by Sheldon. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for the recommendation as well. I cannot tell you what. I've heard of Bat for Lashes, and I feel like I've listened to Bat for Lashes, but I cannot tell you where, how, what, or anything. And I was looking at the albums from Bat for Lashes, and just to see if, like, have I listened to an album or something, like, on my own, and I don't recognize any of the album covers or anything. So I'm not quite sure, if I'm being honest. I just feel like in some capacity I'm familiar with the band or something, but I suppose not. So let's go ahead and dive on into the track, of course. We'll discuss it after. It's the first track on the album, Clear as Glass. The song is called Glass, I'm just saying. Clear as Glass.
I will rise now and go about the city in the streets, broadways I see him whom I soul.
I should give the string or the city noises.
Went over the sea. What did I find? 1,000 crystal towers, 100 emerald cities, and the hand of the watchman in the night sky.
No, I love the drumming. With that bass line, very strong rhythm. It's a synth bass.
And I tried to hold him. I tried for the cream. I'll make a suit of colors to stop the blinding mirrors. So a cape of rainbow stifle up the beam with the perfect armor, with the perfect dream to
Really fantastic drumming. I love how she sings out of that.
when two suns are shining, the battle becomes blinding to but we light and light and light and light and light.
Fantastic singing. That was not at all what I was expecting. In the best way possible. So first of all, I love in the first lines as she's describing, walking around the streets and such, how we get the city noise happening there. So an establishment of scene and place. And then from there, the drums, first thing, of course, that for me are going to stand out. And I love that heavy tom pattern and the way that the toms roll across one another. The drumming on here is going to be handled. I'm looking through, there's a lot of personnel in this album. Alex Thomas is going to be handling drums, along with Natasha herself doing some programming. Alex Thomas, he's known for performing with Squarepusher and also with Air, a little Moon Safari there. He's also working with John Cale and many, many others as well. As I look at his, he's worked with Uncle. That's so cool. Very nice there. So like really cool groove that he comes up with there on the drums. And then what I love about the drums is that, when Natasha Khan, who's the lead singer here, when she's singing during the verse, she has this mystical and yet earthly quality. When we move into the chorus here, however, not only does her voice push up into the higher range, but Alex brings in the snare now, not just playing on the toms, but now he starts to hit that snare just before getting into the chorus. And then from that point on, the snare is used in, of course, making that beat known. And I like how, just if I'm looking at those two, how they elevate one another at that particular moment. It's like they both push each other, rhythmically on one end and melodically on the other. And it's just a really cool little detail there. You have that very deep bass that happens in here, which has kind of a synthy effect as well. And I believe that that's going to be Natasha Khan also handling that as I look at this. But there's a lot of personnel, so I'm kind of digging through as we go here. And then you have a lot of little glassy keys and synths that kind of loom and ambiently kind of dance their way in the back. And what I really like is that on the back half of this track, let me pull it back here really quick, in this section, to me, that ending kind of clearly plays in that breakdown heavy kind of atmosphere and heavy weighty kind of downbeat kind of way, right? Which is fantastic. I love that. But what I love is that instead of the band going for what I would say is a typical breakdown at the end, in which guitar comes in, bah, big chords, da da, bah, bah, kind of probably, accenting and working behind her voice to make it that powerful, distorted wave. Instead of doing that, there's a lot of space left. You have those little underlines of, like I said, keys and such that are just back there, the bass synthily worming its way around. But overall, it's relatively empty. Just letting the drums and the space and her voice really be that strong main focus. So I like how instead of going for what I would say is maybe conventional heaviness by adding that heavy guitar, there was guitar chords being strummed occasionally throughout the track, but in that particular section, leaving it open. I like that, and I think that it actually made it more powerful, especially as she vocally riffs at that very ending part with the, very high ohs and the ah and that going on. And it just kind of makes it, it sends it off in a soaring way. And I think that that's really nicely done. And then I'm still looking at the personnel list here. You have Viola by Abby Fry. You have sampled wine glasses, which I guess kind of adds to that glassy, kind of crystalline clear, what I thought was synth, but it's actually that happening here. You have a saw being used in here, a musical saw. You have marxophone and piano chord. There's a certain depth that's established here melodically, even the most subtlest of ways. But at the same time, the track doesn't feel dense, overcomplicated, over-encumbered. It's actually quite wonderfully produced, I would say, in that regard. Nicely mixed. I will rise now and go about the city in the streets, and in broad ways I will seek him whom my soul loveth. Went over the sea, what did I find? 1,000 crystal towers, 100 emerald cities. And the hand of the watchman and the night sky points to my beloved, a knight in crystal armor. And I tried to hold him, I tried for the cream. I'll make a suit of colors to stop the blinding mirrors. Sew a cape of rainbows, stifle up the beam with the perfect armor, with the perfect dream. To be made of glass when two suns are shining, the battle becomes blinding. To be made of glass, but where light and light and light. And from two suns spinning, are we on Tatooine? At two different speeds was born a hot white diamond. Burning through the rainbow, flames fell into orbit to hold eternally two heavenly spirits that just wouldn't see. So these two bodies in the sky, these bodies of light, shining, blinding, There's a conflict, perhaps, of sorts. There's some sort of product at the end. Let's click on this a little bit and see, because I'm quite unsure. Oh, there's a concept. Here you go. Two Sons is a record of modern-day fables exploring dualities on a number of levels. Two lovers, two planets, two sides of a personality, bringing reflection about the philosophy of the self and duality. Okay, all right, goes on from there. Khan also presents an alter ego named Pearl, described by the press release as a destructive, self-absorbed blonde femme fatale, of a persona who acts as a direct foil to Khan's more mystical, desert-born spiritual self. Okay, it goes on from there. I went to the recording studio and told the record company that they weren't allowed to come. I love that. Put your foot down. I got one email about feedback asking me to drop certain tracks, and I said no. Please clap. When she played the finished album to the record company, Parlophone, she wasn't present, but she did receive some feedback. They said, Natasha, you've made a great album. But there were a few mutterings around, like, Natasha, you've made a great album, but what are we going to do with it? Radio aren't going to play it, you know? They were happy for me on an artistic level, but I made their job a lot harder. And hey, listen, that's why it's a job. It's your job, brother. Take the product. Do what you need to do. That's why it's your job. I did my job. You do your job. Yeah, I did my job. You do your job. Let me know what you guys thought of it, of course, in the comments down below. Sheldon, thank you so much for the suggestion. Thank you for the support as well. Hope that you guys are having a good start to 2026, which feels really weird saying that. That was the first time I've said it out loud. I don't like it. I don't like that. Watch the taste out of my mouth. Oh, 2026.